Hey everyone, this is Tim, and thank you so much for joining me today. I had a few extra minutes. One of my interviews had to be shorter, so I usually take my time on Sunday mornings. So my wife and kids are at church. Take those 2 or 3 hours and do my interviews then. And this, they usually go about 2 hours plus a little time off camera. So that time is usually taken up. But the one I did this morning had to be a little bit shorter. So I've got a few extra minutes, and just thought I'd talk a little bit off the cuff. I hope you all know I've got a lot of presentations planned, and I'm more of one of those people that likes to plan them out pretty well in advance. I talked last time about my goal is to do this full time as soon as possible, and I do dream of that. I hope it's within a year or less. And when I do that, I'll obviously be cranking up the content exponentially. But one of the things that I intend to do is to take a lot of presentations that I've been working on for a while where I'm just speaking and just to start to actually flush those out and make them happen. But because of that, being that they're not going to be, I'm not going to have time for that for a while. Some of them are going to be in the radar, so to speak, for 6 to 12 months, where I'm just going to have notes and I'll just have lots of time to hone and rehone those concepts. I like to plan things out. I like to double check my main points, my conclusion, all that stuff. Look for people that are talking about similar topics and see what else has come up that I've maybe missed. It's a really good format for me to just not talk off the cuff too much. But there are probably times when it needs to happen, and I'm sure I'll start to find some ways where it makes sense to do that. So this is going to be one of them. There's no real notes in front of me. I'm just kind of talking. But having said that, one of the topics that's really come to mind a lot recently is just people's mental health through the deconstruction process, through deconversion. People really getting to a point where they're being hurt all the time. So many of us are being hurt nonstop. And I talk to people every week where I say, it sounds like you are at a spot where you'd be a great candidate for an interview. And they say, yeah, I would, but I'm not ready for the backlash. It's going to hurt too much. I can't do it now. And I talk to other people who say, yeah, I'll do it, but it's because I've already kind of made the leap. I know this is going to hurt more, but I'm already hurting. People are already taking their chunks of anger out at me. When you do this, when you deconstruct and you deconvert, especially if you go to, again, progressive liberal Christianity, you might not be as hardly attacked for what you're doing. But if you go all the way where you say none of this is real, it's not, making it progressive Christianity, or a softer Jesus, or an annihilationism, or we all get saved in the end, it doesn't ultimately fix the problems. They're still there, and in some ways it creates more problems than it fixes. And when you leave all the way, people attack you hard. And I do want to talk both about why it happens, because we all know why, but to go through a few thoughts there, and then talk about what's really happening, not what they think. But from their perspective, it's basically like you become a traitor. If you imagine that you were in North Korea and you defect and you leave, you get out somehow, and then you get a platform, well, of course, they're going to attack you and say, you were a traitor of the worst sort and you didn't know what you're talking about. And they're going to make up all kinds of stuff about you to make you look bad. And it's kind of like that. I would say there's an argument to be made, and I'm going to make it in a future video, that Christianity is very much like North Korea. But suffice it to say for now, whenever you escape something where they kind of demand your full allegiance, when you leave, you're a traitor. If you are looking at it like another example would be at a marriage, if you've had a faithful, committed marriage, and then somebody breaks the marriage covenant, where you're suddenly finding out that you thought you were sleeping with them and that was it, and instead they're sleeping with other people too, and they said they weren't going to, but you found out that they were behind your back, and it wasn't something you all in any way agreed to. Just they were sneaking around and deceiving you. When that happens, you feel betrayed, utterly betrayed. And when people leave Christianity, the people that are still in it feel betrayed. They feel like you basically left your first love. And they certainly feel like, in the sense of the scary liberal dynamics of, what else are you going to get into, if you're not going to follow the Lord, what else do you have? You obviously don't have a way to have truth anymore, so you're making your own truth up on the fly. So what are you going to come up with? What other crazy ideas besides that, Yahweh isn't God and Jesus isn't his son and his blood isn't what saves us? But there's also, of course, the devil, where they're afraid, what is the devil using you? And when you bring kids into that equation, they're afraid you're going to influence kids for the devil, or at least to take their focus off of Jesus. And so you're a traitor. And I just want to say right up front, I'm really sorry for those of you that are facing that. It's a horrific experience. In some ways, it could be argued that when you deconstruct and deconvert, you are becoming so much more of a better person. You're embracing reality more than ever. You are able to see reality and people and the world, the universe, so much better than ever before. And you just feel like, I am making the healthiest decisions of my life. And you get surrounded by people who say you are making the most unhealthy decisions of your life. And there's been like an explosion of videos in the last, I think, few years at least, where people are talking about the concept of gaslighting. But Christians are absolute masters of gaslighting and of cancel culture. They invented the thing. They love cancel culture. They love to cancel you out, and they love to gaslight you. They love to take all of your perceptions and make you question yourself nonstop. And in my sharing this, I'm not sharing this to complain about my experience, especially with the YouTube channel. I do get now, at least 50, sometimes up to 100 nasty grams a day, and that does kind of surprise me in some ways that people do that. Number one, when you make comments on YouTube channels, you're bringing the algorithm up. So the more that you give me backlash, the more attention comes to my videos. So have at it. Free advertising. But in a more personal sense, it's like, anytime there's a comment, it pings on my cell phone. Do I want 50 to 100 pings on my phone a day saying, "Hey, come look, what's the message?" And the message is, "Hey, you're doing a horrible thing, and you're going to burn in hell. Have fun, when God makes you bow your knees someday in hell, and you can't escape." And I get that stuff all day long now. 50 to 100 comments a day like that, at least. That's hard, and I totally am fine with that. I have a very thick skin for that, and you can't do this without kind of bracing for that impact. And by the time you actually do it, you're like, I don't even care. I read them all. I read every comment, but the ones that are nasty mean very little to me. I really don't care. It does bring up, though, a couple of side things, and I'll mention this and then get back to the main point. It's amazing to me how the more that Christians comment, the more they just dig the hole deeper. I kind of I think it's funny that when they make comments, they are they're obviously helping videos get more attention, but in a much more significant sense, they're exposing the issue that we're trying to expose. We're trying to say Christianity doesn't make any sense. It makes you have really bad ideas. It makes you into a really nasty person. It is a hateful worldview that makes people have hate speech. Christianity creates hate speech in people. It gives them a hateful mindset. And when they comment, it's just full of hate. You see it left and right. I know there's always going to be Christians that say, oh, that person didn't grow up in the right denomination. They haven't really experienced God. If they knew his grace, they wouldn't talk to you like that. Don't confuse them. That's not real Christianity. Real Christianity is much softer and gentler. And we just want to have a conversation with you, atheists, and just love on you and go out and have a cup of coffee with you. And, at the end of the day, we'll just agree to disagree, but we still love you. I get too much hate stuff to think that's even remotely true. I get hate stuff all over the place. Christians are hateful, and their worldview is a worldview of hate speech, and they lash out at you nonstop. And in some ways, again, I love it, not because I love the experience of being reamed out, but I love it because they're proving the point. So I'm like, Christians, please keep commenting. Please comment all you want. And someday I'll maybe do a video where I actually, read some of them off just for fun, like Richard Dawkins has done. But until I get to that point, you can read them. You can read them for yourself. Under most of my videos, you'll easily find what I'm talking about. But keep commenting. Keep commenting about how your God is so real. Keep commenting about how God's going to send me to hell and burn me. Keep commenting about how everyone else is wrong but you're right, and no one can question that. Keep commenting about how your word of God is infallible and inerrant. Keep commenting. Dig the hole deeper. Every time I get comments like that from Christians, I have the cringe of like, oh, I feel so bad for you that you're so brainwashed. And it's not personal because I'm like, am I going to really, if somebody's in the hospital in some insane asylum, singing the praises of the purple elephant on the ceiling, and then they start cussing at me, am I going to be upset at them? No, they're seeing stuff. They're making stuff up. They're in a different world. It's not personal. Or if someone had Alzheimer's and their mind is messed up and they don't recognize you anymore, like, I don't know who you are. Am I going to be angry at them because they don't know who I am? No, they have Alzheimer's. This you can't see those kind of mental issues. And Christianity creates mental health issues. It's just when it's institutionalized, it's mass produced, it's mass accepted, the mental health kind of gets masked. But when you have people that are willing to talk to someone who's not there and then proclaim forgiveness amongst each other in one sense, and yet a God who says, I'll never forgive you if you don't believe in me. I love you, but if you don't love me back, I'll burn you in hell. Christians who can't see the cognitive dissonance of believing in a Yahweh God who commanded slavery and genocide and land theft and genital mutilation and stoning, awful things. He's a warmongering God. He's a tribalistic warmongering God. And these people think that this is real. They really think this is real, that God likes the end of the little boys' penises to be cut off. And blood magic is real. He needs lots of blood. And he'd rather kill his own son than kill Satan. I mean, come on. At a certain point, those of us who have escaped have to say, this isn't just people competing with ideas. There are some ideas that are so bizarre, so weird, so fringe that you just have to say, I'm not even looking to entertain this conversation. I might as well be arguing with someone who has Alzheimer's. Yes, you do know me. No, I don't. Yes, you do. No, I don't. Yes, you do. No, I don't. What's the point? They have Alzheimer's. Walk away. Love on them in some way. Give them a love and walk away. The argument's not worth it. They can't argue. They're not capable of arguing. Maybe there'll be medicine, and when the medicine comes someday where they're like closer to the line where they could maybe recognize you, you could say, hey, do you recognize me? No, I don't. Okay, well, let me show you some pictures. Oh yeah, I know who you are. Maybe there's a conversation that can be had down the line, but when they're in the thick of it, there's nothing you can do. And we know that. So we don't fault them for being in this brainwashed Stockholm syndrome that they're in. But I love it because when they make their comments, especially the hateful ones, it helps those of us who are, I've already escaped. I'm out. I was fully out 2 years ago. But those people among the community who are still like on the fence, like, oh, maybe I should be more of a liberal Christian, maybe this, that. It helps you to see through the web of it all and say, what is Christianity really all about? And I've said this before in previous interviews where I talked to a pastor once, and talking about how this hateful pastor who says awful things is not really a good representative of Christianity. And I did an afterthought of that video, and I said, actually, the problem is he is a good representative of Christianity. He is exactly like Christ. He does exactly what Christ would do. He talks to women the way Christ talked to women. He says awful things, and he's belligerent and in your face, and he wants to change the culture in a nasty, hateful sense. He's doing exactly what Christ did, to a T. Why blame him? He's following Christ. You just, because your liberal Christianity sounds more appealing to you, and you kind of cherry picked the verses you want, it doesn't make it better. You just cherry picked your Christianity. But when Christians talk like this, they help us. They think they're maybe sharing the gospel so that somebody will read the comments and say, oh, all this atheist stuff video, but now in the comments is hidden the real pure gospel. That's what I needed. So-and-so wrote this, and now I know the gospel. Or I got reminded of it. Maybe if I knew it before, I got reminded, this is what we're at. Screw atheism. I'm a Christian because the gospel got put in the comment. And yes, I don't want to, I just read the comment about Tim's going to go to hell and he's going to burn. He's going to regret all this someday. And if he doesn't turn, and I'm just so glad I'm not like Tim. And, I'm going to be a Christian. I'm not afraid of that at all. I'm not afraid of people responding to you. I'm not going to delete, I'll delete some comments if they're of a certain sort. But I don't really delete comments for the most part. I think I'll leave up 99.999% of comments that come in, because you're doing me a favor. You're doing me a favor. And so I just ask, keep at it. Keep up your hate speech, because those of us who are on the fence, who aren't sure, is Christianity a hate speech worldview? You make the point. You make it really clear. You make it clear every single day. Christianity is not right. It doesn't make any sense, and it's a mean, nasty worldview. And any version of it, any version of Christianity, it's a mean, nasty worldview. I feel so bad for the people, though, where, myself included here, it's personal. Not the comments on YouTube, but there's a personal side to it in your personal life. Some of you can't do interviews because it's going to ruin relationships, or certainly your job is going to be affected, and that's certainly very critical issues to think about. But for those of you who've kind of come out a little bit and you've declared that you're an atheist, or at least you're not sure what you are, but you're definitely not an evangelical Christian anymore, you have put yourself in a in a tough spot, and people attack you. I'm sorry. It's hard. It's so hard to deal with. And you've got my back. I've got your back. Yeah, yes, you've got my back too, but I've got your back, and I care, because this is your life. You don't get a second one. There's no reset button. This is your one life, and the people that are closest to you, they have become traitors. They're the real traitors in this. When you get married and you create a family, you're not ultimately about embracing Christ and Jesus and Christianity and the Bible. You're embracing your humanness. Humans long for connection. Humans long for reproduction. They long to have the beauty of children, to pass things on to the next generation, to pursue healthiness physically and mentally, emotionally, and to give that to your children, make them strong, to make your next generation stronger than you were, and to take out the defects of one generation and give the next generation fewer defects in their worldview and their perspective and in even their physical body. Our goal is to leave people better than we found it. And so you are just so enjoying the experience you have of being a human and of being connected. And then you deconvert and you realize, what I've done is I've taken this humanness that I kind of embraced through Christianity, though I was kind of like, the world, the flesh, and the devil. Well, the flesh is me, so my humanness is kind of a problem. You suddenly realize the flesh is not a problem at all. The flesh is not a problem. It's never been a problem. There's no flesh. There's, in the sense of the concept of it, there's no fleshliness where there's a sin nature in you. It's not real. It's made up. It's a construct of religion. And so you're like, okay, I can embrace my fleshliness, my whatever it is, your drive for connection or tenderness or touch or eroticism, intimacy, reproduction, your desire for sex, all the things that you would have thought of before in at least a questionable sense. You're like, oh, this is all good. All of it. It's all good. And now your scope is broadened well past sexuality, just to the whole world, just what's going on, the nature of history, what history's been like, where we fit in history, and where history could be going, where the universe, where we fit in the universe. And you embrace your humanness, and it's so beautiful. And you realize, when you leave this Yahweh character that likes to kill people and prescribe how to perform an abortion using dust water, and is concerned about weaving two kinds of fabric together, but can't say don't own people. Like, I am past that crazy God. Why wasn't I past it years ago? But hey, it is what it is. I'm here now. I'm out now. And you've realized all the apologetics, all the crazy discussions that you used to think, maybe I need to dive into this topic more, or that topic more. And you're like, it's irrelevant now. I am completely past that. Apologetics is irrelevant. Christian preachers are irrelevant. The Bible is irrelevant. All of that is irrelevant to life. It's not even a part of the equation. You might as well be telling me that I have to read comic books, and I have to pick some superhero and model my life after that superhero. And if I don't do it, my life is just garbage. Like, no, I don't have to. That's that's just a made up construct. It's irrelevant. If you want to do something, as long as you're not hurting people, do what you got to do. But it's irrelevant to me. I'm not going to go read comic books and find a superhero and model my life after that person. Um, and if I choose not to, that's probably a good choice. I've got other things to model my life after. And once you realize it's all irrelevant, the Bible's irrelevant, churches are irrelevant, preachers are irrelevant, evangelists are irrelevant, the Gospels are irrelevant, apologists are irrelevant, their books are irrelevant, all of it. It doesn't matter. It's like it's not just irrelevant, it's actually a negative to life. And you finally embrace your humanity. You're kind of like, it's time to celebrate. I just embraced my humanity and embraced reality more than ever before. Wow, this is so beautiful. And instead, everyone picks up their knives and swords and hammers and they just start slicing and bashing. And you're like, you're trying on the one hand to just celebrate this wonderful thing that's happened to you. You've escaped mythology as a worldview. Fantastic. And yet, at the same time, you've got people absolutely kicking you in the face and kicking other places, saying, you are awful. And you're just like, what the hell is going on here? I've become the best person I could ever imagine so far in life. I'm the best version of me that's ever existed so far. And this now that I'm in the best version of me possible, this is when you attack me the most? Are you kidding me? What is wrong with you people? But that's exactly where a lot of us are at. And it horrifies us. It horrifies us that our kids are in church learning about blood magic. It horrifies us that marriages are going to dissolve over this for some people. And people have, like my in-laws, for example, they didn't talk to me really about anything for like a year after deconverted. Then they sent me one little letter, this brief little note. We're so disappointed. And I don't hear anything from them since. I'm like, my own mom, she wants to die because I'm an atheist. She wants to die because I'm an atheist. Like, what the hell is this worldview? What in the world is this sick, twisted Christianity doing to people? I'm free, but I got to make a difference here. This can't continue. If this is what our society's like, where people will divide and cancel each other over this mythology, what a whack job worldview. Come on. We're better than this. Humans have come so far and we're going to get stuck on this craziness? No way. And so I just want to say, in light of all that, to those of you going through it, wow, this is hard stuff. Keep celebrating in your mind. Keep putting up the boundaries and know that it's probably going to get, it's either going to stay this difficult or it's going to get more difficult before it gets better. And I'm sorry about that. We do have to face reality, and the reality is we've got some really tough roads ahead of us. I guarantee you, from my vantage point, it's worth it. But man, does it suck. It's awful. There's no two ways about it. And again, not talking about YouTube comments. You guys comment all you want. Tell me I'm going to hell. I'm talking about our personal, interpersonal relationships, the people that are closest to us. And I know I deal with a lot of people, emailing me, both in comments, but also personal emails, sharing their stories. Some of them, they can't share it publicly, but I get a lot of emails every week. And I deeply appreciate what you share with me. It means a lot. You all kind of trust me and use me as a sounding board. And I apologize that I can't get to everybody right away. But all that's being said, when you leave, there's a sense that you kind of hope that maybe Christians will say, we're going to love you extra because obviously you've always needed the gospel. We thought you had it. We realized you didn't. In their minds, you misunderstood it, or Satan got you, whatever. But we know that the answer now is you need it. You need the gospel. You're clearly not confessing Christ. You're very clearly saying Christ is a nobody. You're not confessing Christ as Lord. You're confessing him as a made up literary character. So you're absolutely on the way to hell. And so you kind of think, and just thinking through it logically, they're going to love me back to church. They're going to love me back to Christ. They're going to win me, as it were, by their good behavior. They're just going to say, they're going to shine. And you're going to say, boy, do I want to live like Christ. That's what you think. But we know the reality from, uh, parents, in-laws, spouses, close friends, extended family. Number one, the silence, the stonewalling, the shaming, the shunning. We don't really need you as part of our inner circle anymore. Thank you, but no thank you. We'll go on. We'll go on without you. The snarkiness, especially when it's right inside of our homes, intense snarkiness. The belligerence, the sense of I'm going to do everything I can to make your life miserable. You left Christianity, which makes me feel like you were a traitor to my faith. Therefore, my response is going to be, until you come back to Christ, and knowing that it looks like you're not going to, more and more, like you're probably stuck in this and you're going to go to your grave as an atheist, I'm going to make you pay for it. You walk away from my God, you walk away from my religion, from my book, from my gospel, you're going to pay for it. I'm going to make your life miserable because I can. Because you're a traitor to the gospel. You're a traitor to my God. And if those of you who are watching are going through that, I'm like, what in the world? What in the world? But that's exactly what we face. And it is so painful. It shakes you some days. It is so painful. And the idea of the ambivalence, they knew that you knew the gospel. They knew that you knew it was at stake. You knew that if this was real, hell was what was coming next. And that if it was real, you basically wasted your life. You became a shipwreck. And they, knowing that you knew all that you still left, you'd think they'd want to ask you, why'd you do it? You clearly, whether it's true or not, you think you know something that I don't. You think you know something where you've put pieces together, the chips have fallen for you in a way that has said, I don't value the gospel anymore. It's not true. I don't value the Bible anymore. It's just a book. And when you say that, and when we say that effectively with your life and your testimony to people, you'd think they would say, I need to know what, like you'd expect them to say, I'm not going to probably agree with you, but just tell me, explain it to me. Why'd you leave? You knew it was at stake. You must have had some really good reason. And I know that some people will have the story where they just really wanted to sin, and someone can say, well, clearly, you wanted to have an affair. So you had an affair and you left. So can you justify yourself? Whatever, there's stories like that where people are going to already have a preconceived notion. But for those of us who it clearly wasn't a sin thing where it's like, I really want to just sin. I want to do drugs. I want to have an affair. I want to do something really divergent from the gospel, from the Bible's morality. And the only way to get away with it is just to deny the Bible's authority. When you don't have those negative things in there, and it's just information. I just studied. I opened a lot of books, hundreds of them. I went to thousands of websites, watched thousands of videos. I talked to so many people. I just dug and dug and dug and dug and dug. And the more that I dug, this whole thing just unraveled. There's nothing to it. Christianity has nothing to it. They don't care. They don't want to know for the most part. If you have someone who does want to know, that's lucky. And I'm so glad, and treat that as the beautiful situation that it is. But for most of us, from what I can tell from the emails I get and the sense I get from other people's stories, they don't care. They don't give a rat's ass about why you left. They just know that you left. You left and you're a traitor, and now they hate you. And they may not say the words hate, but they live hate. They live spite. They live snark nonstop every day. It's enough to send you into an emotional tailspin if you're not careful. And they will love it. They will eat it up. They'll be like, see, you're hurting because you don't have Christ. Like, no, I'm hurting because the people that I was thinking I was doing life with and embracing my humanness with, you're a traitor to my humanness. You're a traitor to our humanness. You may think I'm a traitor to your God, but your God's not real. What's really happening here is you're a traitor to humanity. You're a traitor to humanness. You're a traitor to the human experience. You're a traitor to life and to love and to beauty. You're a traitor to interpersonal relationships. And it's so sad and it's so unnecessary. It's bizarre beyond words. It's they're basing hate on a comic book hero. And the blindness is so thick. The Stockholm syndrome is so thick. The brainwashing is so unbelievably powerful. They can't see an inch past their face. And so you're in this spot where you're left, not number one, finding all this hate, both from generic outsiders who you don't care about. It's the, that just bounces off of you. But now you've got your inner circle pushing hate and hate and hate and hate and hate on you. And you're like, can't you see what this worldview makes you a hateful, spiteful person? Can't you see, if not for the origins of Christianity, which is what took me out of Christianity, if it's not for that stuff, if it's not for looking up all the parallels to all the other pagan religions, to the Homeric epics, to Pythagoras, if you can't do it by a study of the just the strict origins of Christianity, and you can't do it from seeing kids dying of leukemia at 3 years old in the hospital, you can't see it from the genocides and the Holocaust. If you can't see it from all this stuff, can't you at least see, just look in the mirror, you're a hateful person. You have so little love. And they can't see it. And it leaves us feeling like we're dealing with people with Alzheimer's, where you're like, do I respond to them? Is this them? Or is this the Stepford Wives version of them? It's not really them. There's like some auto programming that's sending a signal to them saying, act like this. And you're like, you're a robot for Jesus. When do I get to see the real you, the real family, the real inner circle of friends and loved ones? When do I get to see the real people, where you take this religious garbage out of your worldview and just let me talk to the real person? And for so many of us, we never get to those levels, despite attempts at being generous and kind and gracious and loving to people. To them, it's the same thing as always: snark and hate nonstop. This stuff will eat you alive if you're not prepared for it. And I know that's why some of you have written to me and said, I can't tell anybody yet. I can't tell anybody I'm out. I get it. You know what's coming, and it's not going to be fun. And your path might be even much worse than mine has been. And mine's been pretty darn nasty, pretty intense. And for some of you, if it's, double, quadruple, 10 times, you're like, shit, I can't deal with that. I've got work obligations. I got health problems. I got money issues. I don't need everybody hating on me on top of it, especially not at the most inner circles. But that's what you're dealing with. And I say it again, number one, I feel so much for you. I'm so sorry for what you're going through, especially knowing it's not probably going to get better soon. I also just want to say I'm going to do my best in the next few months, probably won't be weeks, but months and years for sure, as I can, to increase what I'm doing on this channel. Number one, I'm going to be doing my best to try to produce things that can be an encouragement, and also to help us hone our skills and to differentiate between fighting the Christian worldview versus fighting Christians. The terms will mix from time to time, but at the end of the day, the true slicing and dicing of it is we want to love the believer and hate their faith. We want to love the people that are stuck in this mythology while we hate their mythology, what it's done to them, and the way they've interpreted it as if it's real. We do want to do that, but at the same time, you also need to realize that if they don't escape like you have, that you're kind of a loner. You're a loner. And for those people for whom you're already an introvert and being alone is not the biggest deal in the world, and you're very inwardly strong, it could be easier, perhaps. I think I'm probably more along the lines of that. I'm a little bit more of an introvert. I certainly feel like I've got an inner strength to buck the system and not be afraid of backlash. But if you're more of an extrovert and you need that connection, and all of a sudden you know it's about to get really nasty and it's about to hit the fan hard, and it's not going to stop. It's not just like wham and then it's over. It's like wham, 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 over and over and over. That's terrifying. And some of you are in it even this very day, I'm sure. And you wonder, am I ever going to have intimacy again? Am I ever going to have love again? Am I ever going to have, a lack of snark this close to me every day? You wonder, I have embraced the most beautiful thing in life. And in doing so, the people closest to me have decided to push the ugliness that they can from the Christian worldview right up to my face to try to block me from the beauty. The Christian hate speech is just off the charts. How do you deal with all that? I'm going to be trying my best to create some things that will be an encouragement while also trying to help people say, knowing that some of you will not ever get what you hope for, meaning you will not get the people you love to escape. How do you deal with that? How do you become as strong as you can and embrace life as much as you can? Build your community as much as you can while still loving them and giving them the grace and the patience to say, it's like you're on a drug and you're seeing purple pink elephants. I can't fault you in one sense. You're an addict. You're going through maybe a detox, but maybe you're not even there. You're not even detoxing. You're absolutely entranced with your drug, your addiction. And for them, the detox hasn't even started yet. That'll be a whole new game. But it also, I think, to me, there's that sense of, I don't know if anyone else thinks this way, but it makes me kind of jealous of like thinking, what if the people around us do escape later? And you're thinking, okay, when I went through it, nobody was there to help me. Nobody was there to support me. No one was there to talk to about it. I had to go through it all by myself and then get attacked. And then let's just imagine that 5 years or 10 years from now, they finally escape. Well, now they're going to be like coming to you saying, hey, you were right. Can you support me? Can you help me? What have you learned? And all of a sudden, they, from day one, have a very strong support system because you're now 5-10 years out. They can come to you and you can give them all kinds of resources and help them to fully deconstruct stuff that they haven't even thought about. And like what the hell is this Homer stuff? What does Homer have to do with the Bible? Oh my goodness, if only you knew. What does Pythagoras have to do? You're like, shit, red pill time. Pythagoras has a lot to do with the New Testament, which that's insane to even think about that. I never knew that. Who knew? But you're like, I can help you deconstruct stuff you've never even thought about, and it's going to blow your mind. When you see Pythagoras all over the New Testament, you're like, what this is stupid. Why didn't you guys tell me? Pythagoras is all over this New Testament book. This is so crazy. Tell me the truth about this book. But they can go to you and they can get the support and the information, the resources and the help. And you can say, I know it's hard to lose God. I know it's hard to lose the afterlife. I'm with you through it. I got your back. And it's like, I'm jealous that people around me will have a resource in me, and I will gladly forgive them for what they do, what they've been doing, what they, their lack of willingness to even be open to an alternative point of view and to discuss it, to attack me for it. I'll forgive them in a heartbeat and say, of course I forgive you. You're brainwashed. What can I expect? You were in North Korea worshiping, Kim Jong, whatever, you're worshiping your dear leader. You were brainwashed. I can't fault you for that. Brainwashing is not the real you. It's the brainwashing. It's the indoctrination. Now that I'm with the real you, of course I love the real you because you're now devoid of that brainwashing. I can't fault you for that. At least on some sense, some level. I will say I'll pull that back. I will fault people for some things that they do, because some things you're responsible for what you believe. If you defend genocide, I'm sorry, you're responsible for that. But I'm going to still love people when they finally do get out and say, yeah, you're right. I shouldn't have defended genocide. I'm going to love them. I'm going to forgive them anyway. I'm going to embrace them and try to help them along. What they're going to get from me is an overwhelming mountain of support and grace. And what I got from them is nothing but hatefulness. I'm jealous of that, to be honest. And I don't know, but I do expect some of my family and friends at some point to deconstruct. I'd be shocked if it didn't happen even in the next couple of years. Someone's going to reach out and say, shit, you were right. This is crazy. And I'm just going to love on them, as you should. But I'm jealous. I'm jealous that they're going to get that kind of response from me. I'm going to have their back in every way. I'm going to build them up, make them strong, help them to see this worldview is reality and that they're free of a really nasty worldview and that life's better without Christianity in every way possible. False teachings, false ideas that imprison people's minds have no place in our world anymore. Mythology has no place in this world as a worldview. It needs to end. And this world is detoxing from it. We are detoxing from the drug of religion, but it's detox cold turkey is painful, and that's why it hurts right now in our culture. I love you guys. I love you people because of what you do. And I started by talking about some of the hateful comments I get. I'll just end by saying I get so much positive stuff too. I love that. And I know some of you can't comment even publicly because it has to be private emails, and that's totally cool. But whether it's public or private, you all reach out with so much love and so much care, and you support me, and you're like, dude, this has to go on blast. We need people to tell their stories. There's power in these stories. There's power in average people. Average meaning they're not PhDs, they're not someone that's been on TV, they're just people. Average people you work with, you see at your family reunions, they're just people. No one knows them apart from their small circles, but their stories are just as powerful as the movie, as the actor and actress that you'd see in movies that deconvert or that were never Christians. The stories are in some ways even more powerful because they know that, like when you're a movie, if you're an actor and you're in the movies and you deconvert, yeah, you're going to get a lot of Christians that hate you, but you got so much publicity that all the atheists will quickly know and they're going to rally to you. Yes, yes, yes. But when you're just a kind of relatively unknown person and you become an atheist, the chances of people rallying to you are slim to none. You'll just get the attack and you won't get the rally of support. For those stories to come out and say, I am going to step up to the plate because it's now safe enough to do so, and I'm going to tell my story to help other people. Wow, there's power and bravery in that. So much power and bravery. And I applaud you. It takes guts. And for those of you that have done it and feel like you can do it, about to do it, kudos, kudos, kudos. Keep it up. We need to get our voice louder, and we need to drown out the voice of the Christian worldview. We're not looking to engage them any further. We're not looking to get into deeper apologetics with them. We're not looking to further the argument. The argument is over. Christianity as a mythological worldview is no longer up for discussion. We're not here to make the case, is Christianity mythology? Yes, I will do that on my channel for those that need it, but that's not ultimately where we're at. Where we're at is that discussion is over. Christianity is mythology, period, end of story. Therefore, let's embrace reality. Let's heal from the religious trauma, embrace reality, move forward into a worldview that is free of this bad stuff, try to find the roots of all the bad stuff and get that out as much as we can, and then embrace reality with the most dire need to just leave this planet better than we found it. To say, I'm going to end this. It's so, so bad. I'm going to end it as quick as I can. With my dying breath, I am going to end mythology in this world. And I got to say too, and I'll probably talk more about this soon, but I am passionate about that goal. I'm not looking to, create a name for myself in the sense that people know my name or my channel, but I'm passionate about increasing the channel because I want to be one of the most outspoken atheists. I want people to know teaching kids this, indoctrinating children into the mythology and the abusiveness and the psychological damage of a Christian worldview is no longer acceptable. It's not. And as I look at my life and I think, what's it going to be about? What are they going to say Tim used his time for? And I'm going to say, I use my time to help people escape. I use my time to help people escape. I took my background, which is pretty, sadly a waste with all the Christian stuff, but it especially enables me to understand where the Christians are coming from. Because if you look at this circle, like, oh, there's these liberal Christians, there's, Christians that just, they're not liberal maybe, but they're fundamentalists, but they just come to church. They're focused mostly on sports and their job. Then you got the people that are really focused, the Bible study people, Wednesday night prayer meeting people. Then you got the pastors and the missionaries and the Bible scholars. I was in that inner circle. You get people in the inner circle who deconvert. I know the secrets. I know the inside stuff. When people in the inside circle deconvert, we have so much information. I want to be dangerous. I want you all who are in the same situation to be dangerous for the Christian worldview. I want you to be able to pick it apart in a way that when Christians say, I'd like to talk about the gospel, that they're looking for the easy pickings. They're looking for the person that's down and out, that's just gone through a hard situation, that's desperate for hope, desperate for answer. Pray on those people, pray on those people. But when it comes to you, like, let me tell you about the gospel. If they did a little digging and found out who you are, they'd be like, shit, no, I'm not coming near that person. I know that they can spin circles around me, and I know that they know their Bible inside and out, and every time I quote one verse, they can quote me 10. That person has power, and we're going to use that power in the most appropriate way possible to simply put all the information on the table so that future Christians who are much more aware than ever that there's more information out there, YouTube, the internet, it's put it front and center in everybody's mind. There's more information to be had. There's more to this conversation. When they come across a channel like mine or Myth Vision or Dragons and Genesis and the others like it, when you get to this and you're like, wow, I just watched 10, 20 videos from Derek Lambert and Myth Vision. This is crazy. There's mythology all over the Bible. Or I just watched Dragons and Genesis. Are you kidding me? That's what this story's about? That's what I want to be. Front and center. I want people to know this is mythology and this is why. And especially as I get to a point, hopefully within a year, when I can switch just do this full time, I'm going to push that envelope as far as I can. I want to be dangerous. I want to be enemy number one. I want Christians to know I am going, for every 10 people they put in the kingdom, I'm going to take out 10,000. And I mean that. I am going to make a difference. And people are going to look back at this and say, you were a threat to Christianity being able to thrive anymore in America. To the Christian nationalism, to Christianity, anything. Any version of Christianity. You're going to stop hurting the kids. We're going to start protecting the kids. We're going to start protecting our culture. We're going to throw away blood magic with everything we can. We're going to make a difference. And people are going to look at this and say, where did our culture shift happen? Generations from, they'll say, when did it happen? And they'll look back at these YouTube channels and say, these people spoke up. They knew it was wrong. They found out and they deconverted. They healed. They got more information. They got themselves in order. They got their platform ready and they spoke. They did the right thing and they spoke out against it. And they said, we're going to stop letting them do this hate speech. You're not going to tell kids they're going to burn in hell anymore. You're not going to tell kids they're bad and worthless and deserving of God's wrath and that God hates them, that God hates Esau but loves Jacob. No more. We end the hate speech of Christianity in our generation, and that's what I'm going to strive for. We're going to make a difference, and I'm going to be at the front and center of that. And I'm going to increase this exponentially as soon as I can. We're going to get there, guys. We're going to get there. We're going to make a difference, and the Christians are going to realize, number one, when they're still stuck in it, they're going to realize this is a threat, an existential threat to the Christian worldview. But number two is they escaping to realize, wow, if I hadn't had this, I wouldn't have escaped either. I needed people to step up with power. I needed people to take the information and put it right at my level. I needed this so bad. And they'll shudder. First they'll shudder of, wow, Christianity's dying. But then as they escape, they'll shudder and think, what if people hadn't stepped up to the plate and put this information out there? What if this was hidden in old books still, and people like Tim or whoever you've gone to for information, what if these people hadn't spoken up? What if they hadn't put in the time and then put it in a way that I could absorb it? Wow, how scary. I could have been stuck in this till the day I died. And they're gonna say, yeah, this is a cause worth fighting for. I need a platform too. I need to speak up. Your story has power. Whether everyone knows you or two people know you, your story has power. And we're going to make this platform a platform where people's stories go on blast. And we're going to make this a platform where the information about the origins of Christianity gets very clear. And I can't wait. I'm chomping at the bit to get some of that information out there. I get emails every day saying, where is it? It'll be a while. I'm sorry to say. It's not quick, but that's for a good cause. I need to have my ducks in a row. And once it's ready, it'll absolutely be out as soon as it can. All the stuff, Enoch, Pythagoras, you name it, it'll be out there. We're going to knock this thing out of the park. And the hate speech of Christianity is going to be revealed for what it is. Hate speech. It's a hateful worldview. We can push love into this world, but we have to take the hateful words out. And one of the most hateful concepts right now in America is Christianity, and across the world, really. Christianity is one of the most hateful things going on these days. And you see it especially right now in America. Christian nationalism is getting stronger. And it certainly absolutely is in my swim lane, and I will stay in the swim lane of politics. I'll get into it more and more. Christian nationalism is a major threat to this country, and we need to speak up. We need to speak up as much as we can. We're not just against the Christian worldview, we're specifically as well against Christian nationalism. Christianity has no place in our government at all. And we're going to try to do our best to, if we can't change this generation, to make sure that by the next generation, people have thought so much about it that the chance of someone with a fundamentalist Christian worldview getting into office is slim to none, because they're just so fringe. You might as well get, someone that's, the top of Scientology to be the president. Probably not going to happen. Everyone knows they're fringe. Everyone knows they've got a bizarre worldview. Christianity needs to go that route. They need to be just as bizarre to this society as Scientology is, or worse. We're going to do it, and we're going to get better at it. We're going to hone the skills. We're going to hone everything. Thank you. Thank you for your support. Let's make it happen.